When was the last time you listened to your heart? No, I don't mean about what you want to do or who to marry. I mean actually listen to the thump, thump, thump in your chest, the beat. You can't remember, can you? That's okay. It's not something we think about often, but the heart is vitally important to our health. That's why this month, February, is National Heart Health Month. So we at The Awesome Factor decided to follow the heart and discover the correlation between the thump in our chest and the salt in our diet. All that and more on this week's episode of The Awesome Factor. Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Awesome Factor. I'm Ben Sparrow, and today we're going to be talking about our heart health, specifically hypertension, or high blood pressure. To understand high blood pressure, we first need to know what blood pressure actually is. According to the CDC, blood pressure is the pressure of blood pushing against the walls of your arteries. Arteries carry blood from your heart to other parts of the body. It's a system that works really well, but when your blood pressure increases, it also increases the workload of your heart and blood vessels. Over time, this workload leads to the damage of your artery walls. In turn, LDL, bad cholesterol, forms plaque along these damaged walls. As plaque accumulates, the narrower the insides of the arteries become, leading not only to higher blood pressure, but signifies the beginning of a cycle that will further damage your heart and the rest of your body. So, while we've defined what high blood pressure is and how it can damage your heart, we've yet to discuss how this affects you right now. Nearly half of all Americans have high blood pressure. The number is actually 47%. And high blood pressure, hypertension, puts you at risk for heart disease and stroke, which are the leading causes of death in the United States. Hypertension is known as the silent killer because a lot of the different symptoms aren't really noticeable. High blood pressure, just like our heart beating, is not something we always think about, especially if we don't feel those symptoms. But just because we don't think about it doesn't make it any less important. Hypertension is not always caused by things that we ourselves do, sometimes it is genetic. But today I wanted to focus specifically on what we can do to try and prevent high blood pressure or keep it in check. This is where sodium comes into play. Sodium is an essential mineral for bodily functions. But just as the old saying goes, you can have too much of a good thing. You see, sodium pulls water into your blood vessels, increasing the amount or volume of blood inside them. When more blood flows through your blood vessels, blood pressure increases. It's like turning up the water supply on a garden hose. The pressure in the hose increases the more water is blasted through it. A normal amount of sodium is fine, but when you have too much, it increases the amount of blood flowing through your veins and forces your heart to work much harder than it needs to. And I know, I can hear exactly what you're saying, but Ben, I don't eat a lot of salt. I don't use table salt. I barely salt the water for my pasta. How could I be consuming too much sodium? You see, it's not actually about how much you add. It's about what you don't realize is there. More than 70% of the sodium we consume comes from packaged, prepared, and restaurant foods due to salt added for flavoring, stabilizing, preserving, and reducing bacterial risk. It's not stuff that you actually see. It's not stuff that you add in yourself, and that's why it may be misleading or you may not realize it. The rest of the sodium in our diet, well, that comes naturally from some foods and when we add it to flavor our dishes. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that we consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium daily, yet we typically consume about 50% more, or 3,400 milligrams. So it's no wonder that so many people suffer from hypertension. It's too much salt in our diet, and maybe we didn't even realize it. I chose this topic today not just because it's Heart Health Month, but I actually think a lot of times we're desensitized to the idea of hypertension or high blood pressure. I mean, think of all the ads we see on TV, right? They talk about high blood pressure as a symptom, or high blood pressure medication, or cholesterol medication, or all these different things. We hear it enough, we don't really think about it anymore. It kind of tune it out. We also live in a society that's fast-paced, where we don't actually make a lot of meals. A lot of times we eat out or we grab quick and easy meals from the grocery store. But let's be honest, we don't actually look at the packaging. We don't actually go to the website and look up how much sodium are in these meals. So us being desensitized to the idea of high blood pressure and not really realizing or looking out for sodium, that's a dangerous combination, and it makes sense why 47% of all Americans have high blood pressure. So next time you're grabbing dinner or out at the grocery store, stop and look and see how much sodium are in the things that you're eating. You may be shocked. Maybe you change what you eat, maybe you don't. but at least you know what you're putting in your body and how what we put in our body affects our heart. Thanks so much for listening to The Awesome Factor. We hope you learned a thing or two. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to get all notifications on upcoming content. The Awesome Factor is produced in collaboration with McYoung Foods, makers of Awesome Granola. Awesome Granola is an allergen-free granola that's also low in sodium. Awesome Granola is available at Amazon.com and Walmart.com. For more information, head on over to their website, www.awesomegranola.com, or follow them on social media at Awesome Granola GF on Instagram and Awesome Granola on Facebook. Awesome Granola, fuel your freedom. Once again, thanks for tuning into The Awesome Factor. My name's Ben Sparrow, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.